Yeah, this was a Reddit post that I ran into because I asked Google, will the working class Brits be required to take a digital ID? All right, it's called a Brit card. And this is what came up because I had made a statement that right now it's being used for the quote unquote illegals over there in Great Britain so that they can be identified. They need a digital ID, but it's going to filter out to the working class Brits, okay, be it so called white people, all right, be it so called black people, because it's part of an agenda that is the New World Order. Ultimately, the Brit card will be replaced by the chip, the RFID chip. That's the ultimate, that's the last stop. So that lets us know, we at Great Millstone, beginning with Elder Pastor down, that lets us know that that immigration drama going on over there in Great Britain, it's a pretext for what they really want to do, which is ultimately put an RFID chip inside of the so-called working class Brits. And the only ones that probably won't need to have a chip is the top banking families that a lot of them live over there in Great Britain. We know the Rothschilds, they ain't gonna get no goddamn chip. All right, and the so-called royal family over there, they're not gonna get no chip. That's for the common people. That's for the dim-witted masses. Okay, that's what that's all about, because that's their way. The top banking families, particularly the ones over there in Great Britain, that's their way of being excited. It goes back to the words that G. Edward Griffin said in the video called The Capitalist Conspiracy. He said, after a man has more money than he can possibly spend for pleasures, what is left to excite him? Raw power over other human beings. Now, the top wicked elite over there in Great Britain, they can get that raw power over other human beings that are not of their ilk, not of their circle. They can get that raw power over them through that RFID chip, but they have to do it in gradual steps. So right now, the Brit card is being proposed, and ultimately, what will replace the Brit card is that RFID chip. And it's around that time when Yahweh Shai will be right at the door. When they make that RFID chip mandatory, like they're making that ID card mandatory, right? When they get to that step, that's when Yahweh Shai will come and destroy Esau's society. Okay, as it is written, the Lord shall reign upon him while he is eaten. So what is that? That's a dark saying. That's a codified saying for when Esau is about to really enjoy his power over his raw power over other human beings, quoting the words of G. Edward Griffin, which is the New World Order. That New World Order is all about raw power of the elite over other human beings. That's when Yahweh Shai going to step in and destroy Esau's power, beginning with the power of the wicked elite. And beginning with them, they're going right into slavery. They're going to, in less than 1 hour, they're going to go from rags to riches, and their beloved America is going to be totally destroyed. That's the future, man. I've just told you, roughly sketched the future for you. Okay, but anyway, let me play the part where I said about the working class Brits. Because right now they look at it, oh, it's an immigration problem. And here, when you look at it spiritually, and I mentioned this, a lot of these so-called white people, especially the ones that live in the East End of London, you had, I think that soap opera is still going on. I watched a few episodes of it. It's called EastEnders. right? Some of you brothers over there in England, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that. It's ran for a long time, EastEnders, and it gives you a glimpse of the so-called whites that live over there in the East End of London, which primarily they speak a dialect called Cockney. A lot of them are Jakes, man. Even though they look like so-called white people, a lot of them are Jakes. A lot of them are the product of Irish stock, Scottish stock, Welsh, you know, as in Wales. So, you know, a lot of them are Jakes, and ultimately they're going to have to take this ID card and then this. Ultimately, they're going to have to take this chip because spiritually, the top wicked elite know that they're not of their ilk. They know that they're, and here's a fact: because you got the West End of London. That's where the posh Edomites live. A lot of them are real Edomites. All right, the West End of London. Years ago, you had the group called the Pet Shop Boys. They did a song called West End Girls. You know, West End girl meet an East End boy. You know, the West End of, and I believe the brothers can correct me, is separated by the River Thames. All right. You had the West End and the East End. The West End is the posh part of London. All right, the West End of London. That's where and they even talk different. You know, the West End, they would say, I say, a spot of tea and all that, you know. They would talk like that, very, very stuffish, you know. And then you had the East End, they have a different accent. They have the Cockney accent, okay. Good evening, Bert, you know. They would talk different, you know. There's as a matter of fact, you know what backs that up? There's an actor called Peter Sellers, right? Peter Sellers. I remember him growing up watching his movies, and he did a skit of the song by the Beatles, "She Loves You," right? And he did it in 4 different accents. He did it one, you know the song "She Loves You," yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, he, what year was that? 1964, I think that was, for the Beatles. And that skit is funny as hell because he's quoting the words of the song, Peter Sellers, the actor, but he's doing it in different accents. Okay, he does. There's one where he does it in an upper class English accent. That's the West End, and there's one where he does it in a Cockney accent, and you can tell the difference of the accents, you know. And then there's one where he does it in an Irish accent. That's probably the funniest one. You know, he's reading I know you lost your love today. I saw her yesterday. She said she loves you. Yeah, yeah. But he's reading it in shit is hilarious, man. He's reading it in the lyrics of the song, but he's reading it in different accents. Like I said, he does one in the upper class Englishman accent and one in the Cockney accent. Okay, so the point I'm making is a lot of people don't notice about London. You got so-called whites that are poor. They're usually from the East End. They're the working class poor of Great Britain. And you got so-called whites that are of the upper class. All right, like I said, I say, you know, they talk like that, you know. So they're the ones they're the ones looking for raw power over other human beings. Again, to quote the words of G. Edward Griffin, they're the ones that a lot of them, the posh upper class so-called whites over there in Great Britain, they're the ones that are scions of these top banking families that, in particular, the Rothschild family and the other upper class families. They're the ones that are going to pass those edicts to take this Brit card and then ultimately to take this chip. Now, I hope what I said, I hope that it explained the dynamic that's going on over there in Great Britain, in particular London. All right, so without further ado, let's check it out.
So that's a pretext. The only way we can handle that problem. And he played Ella Yakanan. He played a few clips of certain individuals, and like to use his words, Ella Yakanan, certain individuals that were waffling, talking nonsense, man, of why Great Britain needs to introduce that national ID, digital ID. When the real truth is they want all the people, especially the working class Brits, which a lot of them look like so-called white people, but a lot of them happen to be so-called black people that look like so-called white people. They don't even understand that, right? The Cockneys, the East Enders, a lot of them individuals of Irish stock, Scottish, right? A lot of them are basically so-called black people that look like so-called white people. All right? They got to get the ID too over there in Great Britain. The digital ID, which
they got to get the ID too. And again, this brings me to the Reddit post here. Look at the subheading. Every adult in the UK will soon be required to have a digital Brit card ID. Now, I'm telling you that the science, the top wicked elite and their science over there in Great Britain, they won't have to take no Brit card. Right? Especially, can you imagine the Rothschild family having to take a Brit card and then ultimately a chip? It ain't going to happen. They're the ones pushing that mandate to have raw power over other human beings. That's what it's all about. The frill of it. The frill of it. The frill of having your serfs and your servants, ruling over them and telling and making them do things that you don't have to do. That's the frill of it. Again, that was a poignant statement that G. Edward Griffin made. And he made it way back in 1969, 1970, when the documentary, The Capitalist Conspiracy, was created. He said, after a man has more money than he can possibly spend for pleasures, think of the top ruling class family over there in Great Britain. What is left to excite them? Raw power over other human beings. And they can get that through that microchip. But they have to do it gradually. So again, every adult in the UK, United Kingdom, will soon be required to have a digital Brit card. Let's read some of this. What the hell? I'm from Canada. I have no idea with what digital ID they're talking about. I'm certain I don't have it, despite what this article is saying. Well, it's over there. It didn't say Canada. It's over there in Great Britain. Geekenstein. Papers, please. Exactly. The old Nazi. And by the way, when you go back to that Nazi Germany, that was a trial run. All right. What's his name? Terry Cook. He was touted as being one of the authorities on the RFID chip. You know, back in this video we used to watch, Millennium 2000, and they brought him on as a guest, and he made a statement. He told Anthony J. Hilda, who was hosting the show, you know, Millennium 2000. He told Anthony J. Hilda, when he mentioned about Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler, Adolf Schicklgruber, he said, well, that was a trial run. And indeed, because the first book, Adolf Schicklgruber, Schicklgruber. That's his real name. His real name, Adolf Schicklgruber, which he was actually a scion of the Rothschild family, Solomon Rothschild, and that's not well known. Anyway, because his father Alois Schicklgruber, the father of Alois Schicklgruber, which was the father of Adolf Schicklgruber, was Solomon Rothschild. And at that time, Solomon Rothschild was having sex with a servant girl named Anna Marie Schicklgruber, I believe her name was. And all this is information you can find if you really search for it. And that's the line that Adolf Schicklgruber came out of. Right? So with Nazi Germany and all that, that was just a trial run. The first book he wrote was Mein Kampf, which in German is My Struggle. And the second book he wrote was The New World Order. And you see the connection. Like Elder Pastor said, keep it all in the family. Okay? So that's a good example. Keep it all in the family. Adolf Schicklgruber, which was a scion of one of the Rothschilds. This is from Codis. I don't own a smartphone, and as far as I'm concerned, they can't make me buy one for some stupid ID. All right, so I guess there are people that don't have a cell phone. Cistern. I know Prince once boasted, the musician Prince, he once boasted how he didn't have a cell phone. You know. This is from Cistern. They'll tie your ID to your internet service. Brits really fucking sleeping on this one. You know, today is the Brits. Tomorrow is going to be America. All right. Ultimately, everyone's going to have to take. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark. What is that mark? That chip. So this thing is being done gradually, and we can see it crystal clear. We can see it, man. We can see it coming down the pike. Ah, yes, you will have to use it to sign up to your internet, mobile and VPN provider, so it can all feed directly into Palantir. From D-Bike. Same con, this is from iWolf, same con in Australia. See, it's a worldwide thing. As part of the age verification push to identify everyone online for everything we do. Again, after a man has more money than he can possibly spend for pleasures, what is left to excite him? What's left to excite these top wicked elite? Where are they going to get their kicks? Reminds me of the group Paul Revere and the Raiders. They had that song called Kicks. Don't it seem like kicks just keep getting harder to find? That's how it is for the top wicked elite. Kicks just keep getting harder to find. They need their kicks. They need to do their wickedness. The scripture said they can't sleep unless they do wickedness. So they need to get their kicks. They need to get their wickedness. They need to get their fix. So what's the ultimate fix? What's the ultimate kick? Kicks. Again, that song by Paul Revere and the Raiders. What was the year for that one? 67? 66? They got to get their kicks, man. And this is how they're going to get their kicks. Everybody got to take that chip. They ain't going to take it. They don't have to. They're the ones that's going to administer it. And they got I was thinking about that earlier when I was walking. They got their, I forgot to mention it. They got shareholders that are waiting to make that big payoff, man. They got to get them chips rolling because the shareholders that have bought into it, the stock, they're like, yo, when you going to make this thing mandatory so we can make our money? Remember, it is written, the love of money is the root of all evil. And they love, beginning with the Rothschilds, they love money, man. That's their God. Money is their God. Okay? Let's see. Let's finish read this. To push to identify everyone online for everything we do in the name of protecting the children. See, the same old con game is being run in Australia. How about that? But in this case, it's protecting the children. Yeah. From December 2025, Australians won't be able to do almost anything online without using a government ID. You see that? Gradualism. And a secondary age verification technique was found in last year's trials not to work. This is from SCDK 9001. What on earth is the UK doing? They must be using 1984. 1984 is a great movie to see of what's coming. As a matter of fact, to quote a line from the movie 1984, I think if someone was asked, what is the future like? And the quote went something like, imagine a government boot stomping on your face. That's what the future is going to be like. All right, roughly paraphrasing that quote. And you'll notice, right, a lot of these police, these government police, a lot of them are jackbooted. A lot of them are wearing these jackboots, just like they wore during Nazi Germany. It's happening all over again, man. All right, what on earth is the UK doing? They must be using 1984 as an instruction manual. Well, wait a minute. It was, and he passed away. It was Eustace Mullins that said of the top wicked elite, they're not, to quote his words, they're not particularly, what's the word he used? Prolific. That's the word he used. They're not particularly prolific. They just have an old formula that they stick to, and they use it over and over again. So I guess they don't need to be prolific, right? And that old formula is auto-abkale. Auto-abkale was used to push the, here in America, auto-abkale was used to push the Federal Reserve. They created the panic, engineered the Wall Street panic of 1907 and other panics. So that set the path that justified them to bring in the central government, the Federal Reserve, which is a central bank, central government, central bank. That's what I meant to say. So they needed an excuse for, which back then people weren't going for, the central bank. Oh, hell no. That's too much control. But by engineering all those different panics, like the panic of 1907, that set the stage to bring in the central bank. And that's particularly, that's what the Federal Reserve back in 1913, the Federal Reserve became a law. That's what it is. It's a central bank. Controlled by who? Guess who the central bank is controlled by? You got it. The top wicked elite. And the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, etc. The usual suspects. But they needed a pretext to push it. And it was those panics that they engineered. You know, the story is a lot more complicated, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And Eustace Mullins brought it out. Excuse me. So now you understand why you have a Federal Reserve. This is from Digital Shrine. What the fuck is this shit? Soon we'll have all social credit scores. Okay, you know it's bad when the left and right leaning people put aside their differences to shit on the government. That is what's coming for Australia, but as usual, people will do nothing about it until it's too late. Yeah, well, it's the same thing over here in America. I think this is happening across Europe. I've also seen signs of digital ID in the USA too. Seems like they are all following the same abhorrent plans. And what are those plans? Eventually to chip everyone. It's a trial run. It's again, Psalm the 64th chapter. They had accomplished a diligent search. It's a trial run. All right. They need to get their kicks, like the song. Don't it seem like kicks just keep getting harder to find? Kicks are getting harder to find for the top wicked elite. They need their kicks. Okay? And people in power don't even bother with the illusion of democracy anymore. It's always been a one. This thing with Republican and democracy has always been a one-party system controlled by the oligarchy, the wicked elite. Again, you can look at Democratic and Republican as auto ab chaos. All right, that was put there to give people the illusion that they have a say over their government. They don't have no say. The only ones that have a say are the ones that control all the money. Like the golden rule, right? The Rothschilds have all the golds, so they have something called the golden rule. What is the golden rule? He that have the gold rules. That's the golden rule. He that have the gold rules, and that happens to be the Rothschild family. That was their blessing. All right. Shithole countries. Sounds like some shit concocted by Peter Thiel. Yeah, Peter Thiel is part, again, keep it all in the family. I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Thiel down the line is a scion of one of those top banking families. It wouldn't surprise me. That's how they roll. Keep it in the family, like Apostle said. Don't understand why people still defend the UK government. Sad to see that the old British spirit has been nearly extinguished in recent times. And while a bit out of topic, but Keir Starmer has a very punchable face, to be honest. I don't think that's off topic. It probably has, these are people leaving their comments, you know. I don't think that's off topic. It probably has everything to do with his attitude. Of course, a guy with a punchable face wants to control everyone's behavior. Total control. Get the kicks. That's how you get your kicks. Don't it seem like kicks just keep getting harder to find? That's one of my favorite songs. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Wonder if that changed people's opinion on China. China, as Trump would say. Pathetic piece of shit. Just stop. FFS. They keep pushing more and more. Yeah, and they go, yeah, push on down the line until they get that chip. Till everybody get that chip. That's their kicks. You got to get that chip, man. You got to show you a resident, for lack of a better term, of this new world order. You got to get in line, man. They keep pushing more and more. We will soon be required to take a photo of our own shit before we can flush. Damn. Okay. Okay. So hopefully you found this edifying. Again, brothers and sisters, as it is written, it's high time for us to wake out of sleep, man. All this shit ain't going down for no reason. Ultimately, Esau's ultimate kicks, his ultimate kicks, is to get everyone to take that microchip so he can have total control. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's what Revelation 13 and 16 is all about. And if you can't see that, then you are a dim-witted dullard. Straight up and down. You're a dim-witted dullard if you can't see it. If you can't see the angle. All right? So on that note, I'll see you in the next video.